All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of John and Chris Show. This is the post-Thanksgiving show. We're getting together. The tryptophan has wore off, so we're finally awake, or one of us is finally awake. The other one's been up repairing their house by an unbelievably gorgeous house, and already the first thing they're doing is gutting it, repairing it, making it look better than the builders ever thought it could. Shout out to Bob the builder across the screen from me. How you doing, Chris?
What's happening, man? Happy day after Thanksgiving to you guys. Black Friday day, shopping, not happening. Yeah, who cares? Online, sports.
Nah,
That's where the real deals are happening
the
today.
real deals. Yeah, we've been doing Black Friday for like a month now since we can't go out and do it. And,
Yeah,
God,
man.
God bless Governor Cooper and his amazing restrictions.
Oh, he went there already. He deserved
Sorry.
it.
I apologize. I forgot this is sports takes, not politics and all that kind of nonsense. Hey, so you weren't here last week. You didn't get the chance to hang out. So we discussed, or I should say, I discussed a little bit of some NBA. So I want to bring it up, man. Let's talk about some NBA stuff. Me and you were talking off screen, and we were discussing how some teams have improved, some teams haven't improved. So let me hear the ones you think that did not improve that should have. Who do you have?
Well, let me just give a shout out to all the NBA teams. I mean, up front. I mean, let's talk about it for a second. What a busy week of transactions. It's like immediately when free agency opened and contracts could be signed and renewed, it was like bam, just like rapid fire of just a lot of things happening. A whole lot of rumors that are still out there. Houston. There's a lot of stuff going on. What's happening there? Where they should go. And then, man, we got some big stuff happening. We got a lot of folks trying to catch up with the Lakers. We got the Lakers also trying to improve. So, you and I talked about a quick little segment on who didn't improve, who should have improved, and who really improved. And, so I'm just going to throw it out there up front. I'm going to go hands down that who really improved and probably didn't need to was the Lakers. I mean, come on. I mean, they did some really cool stuff with their additions. They finally got him a point guard out there who's a proven point guard who can stretch the floor. They went after one of the Gasol brothers. My goodness,
Yeah, adding Marc
and I
Gasol is
mean,
pretty huge.
yes, man, can shoot inside, outside. AD is pretty much committed, just waiting to see what happens, to see what type of contract he signs. And they're filling the roster nicely. So I mean, I give it to the Lakers out there, man. They're doing some moves. I love what they're doing. I look for them to repeat again. That's just where I'm at. What is your take on the Lakers and what you saw happen?
Adding Schroeder was pretty good. I mean, he's not as good as Rondo at the passing and stuff like that, but what he makes up for is with the shooting. Rondo can't shoot. I mean, playoff Rondo did pretty good, but let's just admit regular season Rondo wasn't great, couldn't stay healthy. So adding Schroeder was huge. They kept Caldwell Pope for a pretty good deal. They got rid of Danny Green. I'm a Danny Green guy, but he struggled towards the end. And then, I'll be honest with you, I'm shocked that they've held on to Kuzma. I really thought they were going to move on from him, but because he played great when he had Lonzo. He sucked since he's got LeBron, and so I don't know. I was surprised they did that, but shout out to them because they did get the center that AD needs because AD doesn't want to play the five. So
Right.
getting
Yeah.
Marc Gasol to there, adding Montrezl Harrell, that was huge for them. So I think you're right. They are going to probably repeat. So I'll be honest, a team that I thought improved, I mentioned last week, I think the 76ers improved quite a bit, revamping their roster, Daryl Morey coming in and already showing his prowess to get shooters there, getting Seth Curry, getting Danny Green. I know Danny Green's not a big one for everybody, but he's going to spread the floor for them. Add another defender that they just didn't have. And then getting
As long
Terrence
as
Ferguson.
Joel can keep up and down the floor, they'll be fine.
Pretty much. They signed Dwight Howard of all people. They signed Dwight Howard. I love Dwight talking about I'm willing to come in and do whatever, in quotes, in whatever they ask. So I love Dwight Howard right now because he is a straight up hockey goon. Like he is just like whatever they ask, he's going to go out there and assault whoever they want. Oh, we're playing 80 tonight. Cool. I'll punch him in the throat. Fine.
Yeah,
I'm down.
we saw that in the Nugget series. I mean, he
Exactly.
really had a way of getting underneath the skin of his opponents. You and I would talk about. We were texting back and forth, going, he is really raised his game up and done some things throughout the playoffs last year. I agree.
Yeah.
I'm a Dwight fan, and I was a Rondo fan, so I really didn't like seeing them going. I thought they were good for the team. I love playoff Rondo as well. Interesting. Who would you say that didn't improve that probably should have?
Well, let's
Uh,
stay in the same building.
all right.
I'm not a big fan of what the Clippers have done. Like
Ooh, let the
I'm just
sixth man go.
yeah. I'll be honest with you. They moved on. They added. They let Harrell go. They added Ibaka. Now I'll argue that Ibaka is better than Harrell. With
Yeah, yeah,
I think he's taller. He's a better shooter.
yeah,
He can just do more. Probably a better defender. He's
yeah.
actually a rim protector. Harrell wasn't. He's just more of an high energy hype guy. But they needed to do more than what they did. It's in my opinion. They needed to do more. Now I'm not a big PG fan. I'm not a Paul George guy. I don't think that he and Kawhi work together, so I would not have been shocked to see them try to break up that duo. But I don't know. I guess they're going to give it another run, hoping Ty Lue can bring a new voice to the locker room and make it happen. But I thought they should have done more. Getting rid of Shamit, they're one of their best shooters. I mean, I don't. I'm not sure what direction they're heading. Is what I should say.
It's interesting you bring that up. I saw a report this week, and it kind of got my wheels turned on this thing. You and I have talked about this. I love Ty Lue. I think Ty Lue got the wrong of the deal out as the Cavaliers coach. He's a proven coach, and really, it's taken him longer than I thought to get rehired somewhere else. But here's the thing: did the Clippers hire Ty Lue because he's a good coach, or because he knows how to coach against LeBron?
I think knowing how to coach against LeBron makes you a good coach in a manner of speaking, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, they talk about in NFL, and NFL guys, they talk about how you draft to beat the other teams in your division. So
yeah.
like the Bucks are drafting defensive linemen to take out Breeze for several years and stuff like that. So I
When you say
think
take out, you mean sack. Let's just go ahead and get that on the
yeah,
record.
sorry,
Yeah, yeah,
Greg
yeah, yeah.
Williams. Greg Williams wasn't playing for the
Let's
Bucks
not go
or
back to the
coaching the
Saints.
Bucks.
Yeah, the whole finding scheme that I'll give you whatever amount of money to take out, whoever. So,
Well, it would be interesting because it was
yeah.
technically the Saints that were the ones doing that.
Hey,
But
if you're not careful, you're going to get suspended off the show. Be careful. Okay, so
I wish you would.
come
No,
on, somebody.
no, I think that's a huge statement saying that
Yeah,
hey, who do we have to fear in the West? Well, we have to fear LeBron. So how do we do this? Well, let's bring in a guy who knows LeBron's in and out, his weaknesses in and out. Which what are LeBron's weaknesses? Well, it's usually his supporting cast. LeBron will morph to whatever he needs to be to win the series. He's not I know he wants to be the greatest of all time, and I know he wants to get up there in all the record books, and he's really doing it. But at the same time, I think he cares more about rings right now than he does anything else. So I think there were a few games in the finals where he took a back seat to AD just to make sure he got that ring. So I don't think Ty Lue's going to have enough of an effect. Personally, I just don't.
yeah.
I think that the combination of LeBron and AD is far better than the combination of Kawhi and Paul George. And sadly, we didn't get to see it head to head in the playoffs because they couldn't get out of their own way. So because they
Yeah.
lost to the Nuggets, right? The Nuggets
Yeah,
who
and I think they were
completely
up
redone
three
their
one. They were up
roster.
3-1 and lost 4-3. To
Yeah,
kind of piggyback off you, I'll stay out in the Western Conference as well. You said the Clippers should have improved. I can't argue with that. What I'm curious to see, and I think really because they've been on top for so many years, or not really been on top, but that second tier out there in the West, the Houston Rockets. I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff coming out of that camp out there. We don't know what's happening out there. Are we trading James Harden? There's rumors about him. He should go to New York. You know, uh, he wants to go to New Jersey or Brooklyn. Sorry,
Brooklyn.
Nets. I do it every time. Wants to go to
You
Brooklyn.
can't get off
I
of
can't get it
that.
right, man. I go back old school to New Jersey Nets, so it is what it is. Brooklyn, yeah, he wants to get out there. You got Russell Westbrook, and where is he going to end up? But we almost see this whole idea of what are they going to do? What are they going to look like? And you really can't fault Houston for playing the slow game here. I mean, a lot of people have said, if you want to do this right, then play the slow game. You've got the upper hand right now as far as a business, so to speak. So wait it out, But I'm a little fearful. This thing could get ugly in Houston if all these reports are true about what's happening out there. This thing could get ugly. Remember what happened with AD in New Orleans? He sat out like, all right, I'm gonna sit out. You know, And I
Yeah.
just that's not good for the game. It's not good for the organization. But you do have an elite player. You got two elite players out there. I think that it.
But
Re-
do they have the upper hand in this situation? Because and I'll interrupt you
yeah,
here and I
let's do
apologize,
it.
but they have the owner over a barrel. Harden and Westbrook have the owner over a barrel in a manner of speaking. So look, the owner is saying, "Hey, I'm willing to get uncomfortable." Are you though?
Yeah,
Here's the thing: you say you're willing to get uncomfortable when your two stars aren't getting along, they aren't showing up, and when they do show up, they're not doing like they're supposed to, and they're just him hawing around and not even really trying. Because let's just go ahead and admit what's gonna happen is those two are gonna show up and they're gonna get their points, and they're not gonna care if they win or lose. They're not gonna play defense. They're not gonna hurt their bodies, but they're gonna get their points.
yeah.
That's it. So, what are you really gaining at this point? In my opinion, what are you gaining? Blow it up. Why haven't you just blow it up? Send him to Brooklyn. Send him. Who cares? It'll
Yeah, but
destroy Brooklyn.
yeah, and I agree. I mean, you and I went on. I think a couple weeks ago when we were on the show, we talked about this. Everybody talks about it being Russell Westbrook, and I think that James Harden is the issue.
I'm
But
saying send them both out the
yeah,
door.
but here's my thing. If you're James Harden, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you up front, you're a ring chaser because and we've talked about this the last couple of years. KD did it when he went to Golden State. And everybody knew it, and I think that you saw from I mean, he was ring chasing. He went out there, he got his
What's wrong
ring.
with that?
If you're going to be a superstar player, all right, a superstar player,
He is a
then I don't
superstar.
think you go join an elite team to get your ring and then go and head out. I mean, and I think KD is a great player, but go do it. LeBron did it in Cleveland with a whole bunch of B and C players.
When did he do it in Cleveland with B and C players? Name the year that happened.
What he had Kevin Love, who's been on the downside of this thing. The
He was
team
on the up on that point.
but the team of Cleveland by far failed in comparison to the dynasty that you saw out of Golden State.
But you're going to give him a pass for when he went to Miami and did the exact same thing.
No, I'm not saying that he didn't do it in Miami. I was talking about the Cleveland time. I agree that they did it in Miami with the Big Three. We saw
Now, the first time he did it in Cleveland, where he got to the finals and got swept by the Spurs,
he said, "I'm out."
Yep. When he did it the natural way, and guess what? Everybody figured out at that point, hey, you can't win this way in this NBA anymore. You've got to go get somebody or go somewhere and help yourself.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what you see these guys doing. They're doing big threes, and then what they're doing with contract restructures, they're going after guys with veteran minimums, and
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, that's what they're saying. Yeah,
Harden has made $40 million a year for the last 3 or 4 years,
and not won a ring.
And not won a ring. That's correct. But that's not even including endorsements. I'm just talking about his regular salary from the Rockets.
Yeah.
And guess what? He figures, hey, I've made over $200 million. I don't need money. I don't need money. I need a ring. I need something to validate my career. Because if not, I'm nothing but Carmelo.
Yeah.
Do you want to be Carmelo or do you want to have a ring? I mean, that's the question. Which one of you? Because I don't see a problem with ring chasing. You've made your money. That's the first step when you get to the NBA. They're trying to make their money. They're trying to get to that second contract to get paid. He's made his money. Now he realizes, hey, the situation I'm in is just garbage. I need to get out of here. My buddy Russell and I don't work well together. So he's trying to get to Brooklyn, which I think is going to be even worse than Houston because guess what? KD, he needs the ball in order to play. Kyrie
here's the thing.
Definitely needs the ball.
You talk about an experiment. If he goes there now, we've not even had KD and Kyrie on the floor yet together.
Right.
And so, you've got an experiment upon another experiment.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's a pressure cooker.
And we already know how I'm going to say this to go on the record because Kyrie, I in faith, I know you can listen to this podcast at one point. In his younger years, he didn't do well playing second fiddle to LeBron. We know how that happened and all that got. You know what I'm saying? He's never done well. He's a great ball handler. We see that. We've seen it. So, it'd be interesting to see what happens. I'm not saying that ring chasing is wrong. My point is that if James Harden, which is apparently made it public, he wants to go to Jersey, wants to go to Brooklyn and be in Brooklyn, then he will be labeled as a ring chaser. And if he's okay with that, but
who's labeling him that?
I'm
It's the
just saying
guys
that
who
it did
don't have
look.
rings.
People labeled KD when he left and went out, and
But it's the guys who don't have rings. It's
right,
Stephen
yeah,
A.
yeah,
Smith and
yeah.
Charles Barkley.
True. So
That's what I mean. Like haters gonna hate no matter what.
I got you. All right,
You
all
might as
right, all
well
right.
get your ring if they gonna hate.
All right, so most improved, they improved for agency. I'm saying LA Lakers. You're saying 76ers. We're saying least improved for the draft, through the free agency, the Clippers. I'm going with the Rockets. All right.
So you didn't like the
So,
Christian Wood signing?
no,
I
no.
get it.
Yeah. So I mean, it's going to be interesting. There's going to be a lot of different players when this thing starts in a couple of weeks. Danny Green, let me go ahead and tell you, shout out to you, my Carolina boy. Love you, man, but get ready to suit up on December 22nd, I believe it is. You asked not to start, but you playing with Doc now. You better be ready. So
I hear that. That's gonna be good. All
yeah.
right, so we're going to transition now to some NFL. We're going to talk some NFL stuff. So, look, we had a couple good games yesterday, well, I don't want to say good games. We had a couple of games yesterday. We were supposed to have 3 games, but we'll touch on that. So, hey, shout out to you for making a comeback on me. We've been doing this pick'em thing all season long, and I've held a good 5, plus game lead at points on you. It is now down to 2. You said you were on a comeback. You said it 3 weeks ago, a week earlier. You should have, but you said you were on a comeback, and sure enough, you're on the come up. I had the Texans losing to the Lions, and sure enough, Matt Patricia messed up again, and Deshaun Watson looked like Deshaun Watson. So shout out to them for that. And then we, of course, had the Cowboys game. You and I both picked the Cowboys. I don't know what we were thinking. The Washington defensive line just looks way too good to have picked them. And my middle son, James, is a Cowboys fan. I have no idea how, no idea why, but he's a Cowboys fan. And I remember him walking in last night. And he walked out of the room at one point because he was just so frustrated with the game. He walks back in after Montez Sweat has that ridiculous jump up. From the defensive end, he jumps like, his arms are 9 feet in the air. He catches the ball, runs it in for a touchdown, and now it's like 41-17 or something like that. James walks in the room and he goes, "This is ridiculous. We're losing to a team that doesn't even have a name." And he just walked away. It was my favorite part of the night. That's how disgusted he was with his team. But I don't know what's going on with the Cowboys, but they have got to figure it out because now the 4-7 Washington footballers sounds so ridiculous. They're going to make the playoffs with a losing record. They are going to make the playoffs, and this is a crazy, crazy time in the NFL.
Let me tell you 2 things. You guys are going to learn to listen to Chris. I'm going to tell you up front. You and I have argued about this since day one. Alex Smith should have been your starting quarterback since day one. We are seeing it already that he should have been the second thing. Kudos to Jason Garrett. You are the big winner in this thing, period. Way to get out.
True.
And
That's
I know
true.
they let you go, mutual parting ways, whatever it is you want to call it, so the writing on the wall. But the reality is, I didn't agree with the hire of Andy McCarthy, but they didn't ask me. It is what it is.
Mike McCarthy.
Yeah. Andy Dalton. Andy, I got all these names.
You called him Andy McCarthy.
I know. I put them together.
You're blaming both of them.
I'm playing both of them at the same time. I saw one good throw from Dalton to Amari Cooper yesterday. I was going, oh, we might have something here. And then when I woke up this morning and I saw the score, I was like, nope, it's out. So I'm just going to say up front,
a big one in the end zone. So.
Yeah. So shout out to Alex Smith, and I'm just going to tell you up front, Jason Garrett, way to get out.
Between the two, just out of curiosity, before we go on the rest of this, between the two, you got Big Ben who came back this year, and you got Alex Smith who came back this year. Which one are you giving Comeback of the Year award?
Oh, Big Ben. I don't think you have a choice. But being undefeated.
The story
right now,
works better for Smith, but the stats work for Roethlisberger for Tim.
Yeah, Roethlisberger has always been on the cusp of being that MVP type quarterback, and I don't think anybody anticipated them to be where they're at right now in Pittsburgh. And
not that well.
They're probably not going to be playing this week against Baltimore. You and I both picked the Steelers to win this thing. They're supposed to play Sunday, but when Lamar Jackson goes down with COVID, I don't see this game happening for ratings and numbers. I think they'll push it back, but maybe it'll be a third. Well, no, they won't be a Thursday night game because they have to be NFL protocol, at least a 2-week. 1 week.
No, those players have to be out, not the entire team.
Right. But I mean, there were several other testing, and so So who knows? We have forced other teams to play without their starting. quarterbacks, and
You have to play without your
yeah. So I
starting.
mean, you go on. So
It's an injury.
yeah, who's the backup out there in Baltimore?
Robert Griffin.
Oh, RG, my Baylor love. Not even, yeah. What can I say? All right, yeah.
I
Let's
love
go
how
on and
you
wrap.
just made that sound like you went to Baylor.
I know.
My Baylor. I'm gonna check that degree. I need to check that. As I say, here it is or Baylor. I don't know which one.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So,
All
yeah.
right, so let's talk some more NFL. Just gonna hit a few things. So we saw Joe Burrow, man, awful injury,
Oh,
with the ACL, MCL, and just structural
still don't know
damage.
the full extent of that. Yeah, that injury.
That's crazy. So from what I heard, this is a minimum of a 10 to 12 month recovery. So you're literally talking that he could potentially not be back playing until
Halfway the next season.
November, December next year.
Yep.
Booger McFarland made a crazy statement, and he said flat out, Joe Burrow should go ahead and just sit the rest of 2021 and fully heal up.
Yep.
A part of me gets it, and a part of me doesn't. Like for Joe Burrow, I get it. I hate the idea. He probably hates the idea of missing over a year and a half of football. But consider they're already they're already in almost dead. They're dead last right now. They're 2-7-1. They're dead last in their division. So obviously they're not making the playoffs. So at some point you have to admit it's time to tank, get the highest draft pick you can, do the best moves you can to create the best team. Go get some, get a high draft pick and go get some, offensive linemen to protect Joe Burrow because he took way too many sacks. And then if you do that 2 years in a row, maybe he comes back and he's got an, pretty stacked team around him. But then year and a half off, what does he have left? Because he's already slightly on the older side. I mean, he's older than Lamar Jackson. You know what I mean? So I don't know. But, hey, quarterbacks are playing into their 40s now. So what are we talking about? A 25-year-old, 26-year-old quarterback who is obviously extremely talented and coming back to a better team?
Yeah, but I
Maybe it
mean,
makes sense.
and I feel for AJ Green. I mean, he has tried his hardest up there, and I'm hoping they can figure out a way to get him out of there and get him
Oh,
on a better team.
he's done in
Yeah,
Cincinnati.
yeah, and I know he's tried. He's tried to be loyal to that, to that team, But do him a favor and get him out. I would say it's about the 40-year-old. Here's the problem we're having, But we also see the decline. Tom Brady is there's a lot of debate what's happened in Tampa Bay. You and I have been hoping he'd come back, bounce back, and show the promise of old. Man, turnover city up there with him. It's almost like he's trying too hard. And then we also see the injury to Drew Brees.
But I guess it does show that Tom does need some help with the coach.
But as I'm saying, what we're debating today, the talk of the day is the 40-year-old quarterbacks, and we are seeing a decline in that. Although I do think that age is not a huge difference, but we got a guy like Drew Brees who everybody loves, and is out for the season, and did not realize he had 8 ribs broke or whatever it was, and plus a collapsed lung.
Ridiculous collapsed lung and everything. I think it ended up being about 14 ribs, or I don't even know if you have 14 ribs. I didn't do it, y'all.
He's retired, most likely, and you hate to see a guy like that go out like that. We've got they bring in Taysom Hill. You and I have debated a little bit about this thing. You bring in Jameis Winston as your backup, but in the same conversation, you also have re-signed, have done a lot to keep Hill because he is the heir apparent to Drew Brees. So I get all of that as well. So do you agree or disagree with Hill? Or what would you do if you're sitting out there, you're Sean Payton, who would have been your guy, your go-to guy?
Hill.
Hill.
And I agree with what I heard somebody else just talk about this. You're only trying to play 3 or 4 games. That's it. You're not trying to replace Drew yet. You're trying to get 3 or 4 games out of the way. Well, it's a lot harder to prepare for Taysom Hill than it is for Jameis Winston because you don't know how, especially the Falcons, they didn't know how they were going to use him. Is it a wildcat? Is it a passing system? You don't know what he's going to do because he's thrown all of 18 passes in his entire NFL career. He had more rushing yards than anything. So the Falcons weren't sure. It's like the wildcat the year it worked on the Patriots. The Dolphins ran it out there. Well, man, it worked, and it worked really well that game, and it worked for about another season. And then the NFL figured it out, and now it no longer works. It's very rarely used in the NFL. I think that's what Taysom Hill is. He is a short term fix for a team that is just trying to get a few wins to stay on top of their division. I mean, they're at 8-2. The Bucks are at 7-4. They have already hold the tiebreaker. They were just trying to get a couple wins in order to get into their holding the division lead. Is Winston a better long-term quarterback? That's not even a question. But I think the plan is just to throw teams off using Hill. Now, I know you're a Jameis guy. You're an FSU guy. You think Jameis obviously has more talent than Taysom Hill, and I'm not going to argue that part. So you think they should have skipped Hill and gone straight to Jameis and just kept Hill as their gadget guy?
Yeah, because I mean, it was working. It was working when they had Drew Brees, when they would bring Taysom in and they were doing a wildcat, or they were doing a pass play or run play. You already had the other team on the edge anyways, and it was working for them. You bring a guy like Jameis in, and all the pressure is not on him to throw the ball the whole time and make completions or whatever. You've taken a lot of that pressure off, because that's where he got in trouble in Tampa Bay. And we've already talked about that system. A lot of his turnovers, I get everybody says, well, he led the league last year, but he was trying to bring his team back and was trying to do some things. That's also part of the statistic. But I get interception. I like the idea of going Jameis. It was already working. You know, he can be an effective passer. You take the pressure off by bringing a Taysom Hill in. But, you know, here's the thing. It may be a great move. We're not in the huddle throughout the week. We're not in the game prep. They obviously saw something in Taysom Hill that none of us saw. It worked last week. It'll be interesting to see how it works this week again. Hill has been impressive for years backing up Brees or at whatever, you know, gadget play they were doing. The kid's good. I mean, it's not a knock to him whatsoever. I just thought, you know, I think that Jameis Winston ought to be the guy. You know,
And he may be the guy later.
Yeah.
I heard this. Colin Cowherd brought this up the other day that Jameis had his worst year as far as interceptions under Bruce Arians. Tom Brady's having his worst year of interceptions under Bruce Arians. So did Roethlisberger, and so did Andrew Luck. All have their worst years as far as, you know. So maybe, is it Jameis or was it Bruce? Because it's starting to look more like Bruce.
Let's not even talk about Arizona.
Yeah, well, that's true. That is exactly true. Okay, so we're going to jump down here to the next thing we talked about. Hey, man, the Rams are quietly making a push out there. I thought the Seahawks were going to wrap up the NFC West, but now they're both tied at 7-3. I don't know if this is going to come through in the recording or not, but my child has decided to practice trumpet right now in the midst of everything. All of a sudden, a second ago, it sounded like a car was coming through that door. So this is the irony of my family was just, you know, post Thanksgiving, we're just chilling and relaxing today. They were watching the Santa Claus this morning. We haven't even made it to December. They were already watching the Santa Claus. So I don't know what your rule is for watching Christmas movies, but my family's is Thanksgiving. As soon as we cross that threshold, it's all Christmas. But to get what I was trying to say, I apologize. The Rams, I think they're quietly making a push, and I think they could actually come out and win their division when they looked awful at the beginning of the year. And now look at them, tied for the division lead. And I don't remember if they've played head-to-head yet, if the Rams and Seahawks have played head-to-head. Have you seen that? Man, I wish I could remember that now.
Yeah, I think the Rams came out and beat them, because I called the Seahawks, and I believe the Rams beat them.
So they hold the tiebreaker at the moment, you know, and then the Cardinals are right behind both of them at 6-4. And I think personally that the Cardinals are going to get a win this weekend against at New England. I think the Cardinals are still going to get that win. I think they're just too talented not to get that. So look, that's what we've got as far as a few topics, but I want to get to the hot take of the day. I want to get to this one because you have been on me about this for about 2 weeks now, and I want to hear it. I want to hear what you've got. Go ahead and tell the world what you think.
December 12th or December 13th, Jim Harbaugh is going to be let go at Michigan.
That's not the hot take.
It is.
That wasn't the one.
Which one?
No. Tell them about Miami.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, we'll come back to the college football one. So give me your hot take in the NFL right now.
Brian Flores.
Yeah, I know who he is.
What in the world are you doing in Miami? If you listen to our show, I told you several weeks ago you should have never benched Fitz.
That's what you said.
That's what I said, because
That's
there
right.
was some momentum happening out there in Miami.
3-3 momentum, my
Doesn't matter.
man.
And look, if you win one game in Miami, there's a whole lot of momentum happening. And
Yeah, technically they tanked for Tua. Come on, man.
yeah, and then so then you go in last week, and I agree. If Tua is your starter, then you leave him in there and you let him lose as the starting quarterback, and you don't bail him out by bringing him out of the game. You don't do it, because you've already said, I pulled him out, and guess what? He's starting next week. Come on now. What are you doing? We're trying to teach him a lesson? Seriously, Bo? Come on now. No. Either he's your starter and you leave him in when he's having a bad game, or Fitz is your guy and you stick with him.
So
This
you're not
quarterback carousel is killing me out there in Miami.
you're not going to stick with your original hot take that you told me, because
Which one is that?
Your original statement to me was fire Brian Flores. That's what you said. Are you backing off of it now? That's what I want to know. Now that
No,
the
I
camera
am not
is
backing
on.
up. We are in the Christmas season. I was trying to show some grace and Christmas
Oh my
love.
gosh, you're worried about this millionaire's money? Come on, bro.
Look, all I'm going to say is this: do I think Brian Flores should be the coach at Miami? No,
What?
he should. No, let him go. Seriously.
What? Wait, all right. So here's always the statement. Okay, so if you're saying that you can do better, that's what you're saying. When you decide to, which not us, we're happily married men, but when you decide to break up with a young lady and you're saying that you can do better, you can replace this, right? So you're telling me that Miami should dump Brian Flores and break up with him and move on. Who are they replacing him with? What is better than what Brian Flores is doing? Because he has taken a 3-3 Miami Dolphins team, a team that legit last year was actually tanking. There was no joking around about it. They tanked. They traded away everybody. Laramie Tunsil, everybody. Minkah Fitzpatrick, they got rid of everybody, started over, and now he's got a team that was practically dead last year, picking fifth. They're now 6-4, one game behind the 7-3 Bills for the division lead. Why would you replace Brian Flores? I mean, he is developing your young talent. What, because you don't like the fact that he benched Fitzmagic?
You asked me my hot take. I gave you my hot take.
Now you don't want to defend it. Come on, Max.
I'm telling you all day long. I didn't agree with the decision 3-4 weeks ago. I still don't get it. And I get that we tank for Tua. I get all that stuff. Then leave Tua in the game. I don't know what message you are teaching your team right now when you pull out your momentum quarterback who has done well, who has been faithful. Well, not been faithful. He's been there long enough to be faithful to him. But, you got this guy, who was obviously doing well, throwing well. Even whenever they talked about it, the team was kind of going, really? But it is what it is. Tua, it's no disrespect to Tua at all.
That's every NFL move. That there's guys on one end of the locker room that like it, and there are guys on the other end that don't like it.
Yeah.
If you bring in a running quarterback, your offensive lineman, maybe they're not so happy because now if you're going to have a guy who's moving around like crazy back there, and they're going to get a lot more hold calls. Whereas if you bring in a Tom Brady, your offensive linemen are probably happier because they know where he's going to be and they know how to defend. I mean, how to protect him. So
I think it goes to show you the coaching carousel that we see in the NBA. And I get it. It's the nature of the job. Is that we have a win now culture. And if you don't win now, you're fired. I get it. And instead of developing young talent, we know that Tua's got talent. There's no doubt about that. What he did when he came in Alabama in that national championship game and brought Alabama back, there is no question this dude has got talent. But when we have committed or we are trying to develop him, let's let him sit for the season to truly develop him that maturity. And
Nick Saban didn't do it. Nick Saban did not do that. He did exactly what you're saying don't do. He pulled the established starter who had been there for 2.5 years, pulled him, put Tua in just to win a game. So how is that different than what Brian Flores did with Tua as well?
No, my point is that Tua should have never he should never come in this season. That's what I'm saying.
He's healthy.
Mop up duty or whatever, but no, we're committed to raising our young talent. We're committed to mentoring them. We're committed to bringing them up.
Who's we? There's not an NFL team. There's not an NFL team that has established that now. They say that to start, and then no one commits to it fully.
Here is the great thing about a podcast. Go ahead if you're listening right now. Go ahead and disagree. Drop us a line in the chat. It's all good. I'm just saying. You asked me for my hot take. I told you because I go ahead and tell you right now. Go ahead and fire Mike McCarthy out of Dallas. This ain't working.
That's different.
Out in Dallas. That's my point.
That's without question.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you should have never hired the guy. I don't know what you were thinking when you hired that guy. So
The three
maybe
and
you could
eight
do a
Cowboys.
swap. Go swap them, trade them for each other.
Do you know
I'm just saying.
what they would have to give up to get Brian Flores right now? How many first round picks?
Who knows? Who knows? So yeah, that's the great thing about this stuff. We can talk all next, and next week I'll come out and be like, Brian, I love you. You're a great coach. I mean, that's the
Oh
nature.
yeah, you can change your opinion. You're gonna go full Stephen A on me.
There we go. There we go. There we go.
That's
But
all
no,
right.
hey, I said all right. Hot topic. College football. I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there. I've already put it out there already. Michigan. It's time to move on. It's time to move on.
He's completely winless against Ohio State.
Yes.
He has
Yeah.
not won a game against your biggest rival, and he dropped a really big game against your second biggest rival in Michigan State this year.
Who is having a disastrous year?
Jim Harbaugh is.
I love the guy. Great coach.
He can't coach college football.
Yeah, he should have stayed in the NFL.
He did great with the Colin Kaepernick experiment, but I think that everything he's done since then has not worked. He developed Andrew Luck. I mean, he was at Stanford when Andrew Luck was there, and he left and he went to the NFL, did a great job at San Francisco. He developed some talent. They had a system nobody else was really running when they had Colin Kaepernick, and they were doing some amazing things, had a great defense, Patrick Willis, all those guys. But then when he started making some moves and adjustments to their roster, and it just fell apart. So he had to get out of Dodge, and he went home to Michigan, and this is not working at all. Not at all. He has not been he could not hang with Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer leaves, and you're thinking, oh, okay, this is it. Now we're going to finally do it. He can't hang with Ryan Day. I mean, I would not be shocked to see Ohio State hang a bagel on him this year. I'm just going to tell you that honestly. I know it is a rival game, but I would not be surprised to see them hang a bagel on them just all day.
And what's tough is, man, I don't know. It goes back to your Miami question. If you're going to fire somebody, who do you bring in? I don't know who you bring in. I mean, Michigan is a big time school, an elite program. Yeah, but I'm saying
now, Michigan is a big time school. Money. Big school.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say, there's big donors, there's big expectation, great athletic facilities, great, recruitment is down. I mean, here's the problem. Is that it's not like Michigan's not getting great recruits, because they are. Mm-hmm. The problem is something is happening from the moment they sign to the play on the field is just not matching up. And you just kind of look at this kind of going, I mean, what's happened? I mean, you got like this. I mean, it's almost like a AA college program, and it's not the Michigan football we know. I think, he's tried his best. He's done well. It's not worked out. They paid him a boatload of money. And I think the greatest thing they had was the players had that trip to Europe early on. And, the whole team goes out there, his first season, and trying to change it up to more of a fun culture up in Michigan. And it's just not reproduced on the field.
Okay, let's think for a second, though. We're saying that Michigan is a powerhouse. Their last national title was 1997.
But I'm saying they when you think about it, they're always up in the conversation. When you talk about the championship games, it's always supposed to be like Michigan and Ohio State out there, right? Now we've got the rise of Northwestern. We've got Indiana. My goodness, Northwestern.
Indiana is I think Indiana's got more of a chance to be a legit every year contender than Northwestern. Northwestern's kind of like Duke, where you got to be super smart to get in there. So I think that's going to be their downfall.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is you're seeing teams like that we're not used to talking about up there.
No,
and so
this is an interesting year. But, yeah, another national contender as far as the Big Ten, another powerhouse that's not a powerhouse this year is Penn State. Penn State's flat out struggling. I'm not even sure if they've won a game. I got to look that up.
I don't believe they have. I don't think they have. Yeah, I think they're – because they're also their worst start.
0-4. Yeah.
Yep. And so yeah,
I won't be shocked to see James Franklin get fired because of that, because it's another national contender, national powerhouse, and it's always one of those things where if you're you're expected to win, and if you don't, you're let go.
Yeah, I mean,
it is a win now. They're 0-5 going to. They play Michigan tomorrow. So the potential of the Fire Bowl. We're gonna call this the Fire Bowl. The Penn State Lions at the Michigan Wolverines. Whoever loses this game is fired on the spot. Let's just go ahead and say it now. You don't even get to leave the field. You're fired on the field.
The spot.
On the field.
I think that's what we're going to have. I mean, because the reality is, the only other names that we have, that usually where they draw from is a guy like Hugh Freeze up at Liberty. Hate they lost to State last week, having a great
Yeah,
year. Now they'll get out of the
15-14.
picture. So I like what Hugh Freeze, but right before that game, it comes out, or right after it comes out that, hey, I'm not taking other offers. This is so. There's already talk that as Hugh Freeze leaving Liberty, you got Coastal Carolina that's having a great year down in South Carolina. And usually a lot of these teams pull from. We got Mike Norvell that went from Memphis to Florida State.
Yep.
They tend to
They
they
take
kind
the
of
lower tier Division
yeah,
One
and I don't know
schools.
if you do that at Michigan. I don't know, because Michigan is always, they're beside, I'm not saying Big Ten, but like Ohio State, they went in house with Day, but and they had Urban Meyer, Michigan,
The only time you usually stay in house is when you're actually winning.
right. But
The
that's the whole
coaches that
thing
are
is,
there have proven it. Well, hey, in saying that though, so there's actually I saw an article yesterday where South Carolina fired Will Muschamp.
yep,
He was having a bad year. They fired Will Muschamp. He had a losing record there. So they're already talking about Shane Beamer, Frank Beamer's son, who's I think he's a coordinator out of Oklahoma. They're going to interview him at South Carolina. But I guarantee you, I think I saw that where the Coastal Carolina coach, so Coastal Carolina out of Myrtle Beach, that coach is also going to get an interview with South Carolina, and which I think he should. If he's built a powerhouse there, he should get an
don't
interview.
take it.
Who that guy shouldn't take South Carolina's job?
Nope.
So are you saying that because the division, not division, the conference that South Carolina is in, that it's too hard to bring that school
Yeah,
up?
yeah. SEC is hard. What was it? Was it Lou Holtz that was at South Carolina several years
Steve
ago?
Spurrier.
Came out of what
Steve
was
Spurrier.
that?
Steve Spurrier.
Steve
No.
Spurrier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Florida
what I
Gator coach.
said.
Yeah. I'm with you.
He left the
But I
Redskins and
think
went
we
to South
saw it
Carolina.
because they were counting on Steve Spurrier to come up and be able to handle the recruiting and be able to take the boys out of Florida to come up here and be able to go against the likes of Florida, to go against the likes of Alabama, Georgia. It never happened. And I think when you're, unless you're in Alabama, unless you're in Georgia, and Georgia has always had top recruits, but they've already shown they can't stay matched up with Alabama. It's just it's probably, to me, it is the toughest college conference out there.
Yeah.
Is the SEC, hands
Well,
down.
you have to consider that how much of the SEC power is in the SEC West. SEC West, you've got LSU, Alabama, Auburn.
But LSU's down this year too.
LSU's down, but my God, how many players did they lose to the draft last year?
Yeah.
How many players opted out this year? Your starting quarterback's out for the year. Yeah, LSU's probably down. And how many COVID cases have they had? So, yeah, they've struggled this year without a doubt. But I think Orgeron, he's trying to do some stuff down there. It'll be interesting to see if he can repeat.
Yeah,
If he can build it back up after you get a once in a lifetime guy like Joe Burrow, and now you've got to recycle this. You got to do it again. You got to find the next guy. Well, we saw the other day just an image of an LSU quarterback playing down there, and it looked like a darn tree in the back. The quarterback looked so big, he looked like a tree. It's ridiculous. So look, what you said, I think you were telling me that the college football rankings, they did their first their first BCS rankings, and so the top four was Alabama, Notre Dame, Clemson, and Ohio State. Out of curiosity, do you agree with Clemson staying in the top four?
Yeah, I do. I still think they,
So are you giving them a pass at the Notre Dame game because they did not have Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah, I am. It's been proven. These guys have talked about this when they sit around a room and they start making these decisions. Well, now on Zoom meetings this year,
True.
That they take into account the injuries, they take into account, home and away. These things that we all think about, they can't help but think about as well. And so I think they took into account that Trevor Lawrence was not there. Clemson still played tough with that backup QB.
Yeah, it was 47-40 the final score.
Yeah, which was a whole lot better than I ever thought it would be. Yeah, and so I think that, I think they do. I think you've got some legitimate contenders on the outside. I'm glad to see my boy Jimbo, on the outside looking at Texas A&M.
He left FSU, and you're still claiming him. I love it.
I am.
It's because he won you that one title.
That's all it takes.
That's all it is. Forever be my boy Jimbo because he got Jameis to eat that W.
There we go. So yeah, I agree.
I
I don't
looked at
see
them and I said, "Are you good?" They said, "We good." I said, "We good then." I'm sorry, that's one of the greatest quotes I've ever heard.
all I'm saying is, yeah, I don't see any discrepancy. I think that the top four are the most four deserving right now in college football. Yeah.
Well, it's because it's the most ridiculous college football season there is. Okay, so we had two conferences that weren't going to play, that decided to play, that jumped in super late, that aren't going to play nearly as many games as everybody else, and then they're getting games postponed and not done. Like there used to be the college bowl rankings before, not college bowl settings. So I had to say you had to win a minimum of 6 games in order to qualify for a bowl. That's what was set. They took that away this year. Everybody qualifies, so you get a call, you get to play. My question is, give me USC. USC, which I think I don't know if they've already lost. I can't remember if they've. I know they've done pretty good for them this year, but consider. No, it looks like they're not playing this week. I'm trying to find them, but consider the fact that their game's been postponed. So they're 3-0. Their game's postponed, but say they only end up playing 5 or 6 games for the entire season. Say they finish at 5-0 because the game they just had they lost on that because there are COVID cases. Say they finish the season at 5-0. Should a 5-0 UNC Trojans make it in over I don't know a 10-1 Clemson Tigers? They're undefeated, but they didn't play nearly as many games. So I think that's kind of one issue that we're going to run into with the committees trying to figure out who gets in, who doesn't get in, and all this nonsense. It's how do you qualify this? Like who played more games, who played tougher opponents? You know, if you play 5 strong opponents compared to somebody's 10 not so strong opponents, like how does that work? So I think that that's why I do believe that Clemson should stay in the top 4 for right now. I'm not sure any of the other teams really qualify as far as anybody from the Pac-12 yet or, elsewhere. But I'm truly hoping today, truly hoping that my Tar Heels destroy this top 4 and they beat the crap out of Notre Dame today. I'm hoping that's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to happen. I really don't. I really feel like, it's a 3:30 game today in Chapel Hill. As bad as I want to see Carolina do it, I don't know if we've got the defense to stop the Notre Dame run game. And that's what's killing me, man. I want to see UNC win this game. I want to see them run the rest of the table so that way we have a chance to play Clemson at the ACC championship game. That's what I'm hoping for. So there you go. And on that note, talking about college, unless you have anything else to add to college football here. On that note, as far as college goes, we've had we did a show league this year for college fantasy football. We're going to do one for college fantasy basketball. I'm jumping on the game late, so I apologize. I didn't even realize it was happening this year as far as the fantasy league because some places weren't doing it. So we got a thing with Fantrax. We just set it up today. We're going to draft Sunday night. Anybody who wants in, just let us know. We're going to have fun with it. We're going to goof off, and I'm going to beat Chris once again. I think you and I are playing in the college football, fantasy football championship this weekend. You and I are playing in that. So, yeah. So, you think you're going to win?
That's me shaking my head no.
You're the slow head shaker. I thought like you froze for a second because you just.
Yeah. Nope. Not gonna happen.
We get too competitive with all this, but it's all right. It's good. So that's what we have right now for sports. If you guys have some thoughts or comments, please let us know. I had somebody who actually I did have a comment from a listener the other day. I got a text from a buddy of mine who's he found our sad hobby that is our show, and he was talking to me about it. And here's the question. I'll pose the question to you that he asked me. What do you think about Cole Anthony going to the Magic? Just real quick. Still with just a slow shake of the head, no words. Can I tell you what I told him?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you my original thought.
Okay, go ahead. What's your original thought?
You and I, we had this conversation last year. Cole Anthony of high school is not. We saw the Cole Anthony of at UNC, and yes, it was an up and down year for him. I thought as a freshman he tried to do way too much, but they did not have the typical Carolina team that we had last season. I heard one commentator say it. If we get the Cole Anthony of high school at Orlando, we're doing great. if we get the Cole Anthony at Carolina, that's a tough draft pick, buddy. So
Okay, this is what I told him, that I equate Cole Anthony to the Cam Newton of basketball, not necessarily college basketball, just Cam Newton of basketball, to where he's unbelievable physically. He can do some amazing things. He's unbelievably talented. The problem is I believe that he does not have leadership capabilities to elevate his team. I believe that he can play pick up ball all day long, and one, whatever you want to do. I'm showing my age saying and one. I believe he can do all of that stuff, but I do not believe that he is a franchise changing player. I just don't. I believe that what you've done is you traded for Markelle Fultz. Now you drafted Markelle Fultz 2.0 as your backup point guard, and I think it's going to be a problem. So that is my opinion. I wanted to put that out there because we actually had somebody who listened to the show who asked that question. So I'm going to put it out there. So there you go, Justin. That one was just for you, dude. And so, hey, that's for everybody. If you got thoughts or comments, or you want to get on here, let us know. We'll be glad to talk about whatever. So let them hear it, Chris. Let them hear what you're saying.
Hey, man, so glad we get to do what we get to do another week. God bless you guys. And until next time.
All right, guys, have a great one.